Hi, welcome to the second part of my tutorial on solving equations. This time what we're looking at is equations with unknowns on both sides and equations involving brackets as well. So example 1 then. What we have to do here, when we've got x's here on both sides, the way to start is to look first of all for the smallest number. Now these are number terms, the positive 4 and the negative 6. The negative 6 is clearly the smaller of the two numbers. So let's try and get rid of that first of all. In order to get rid of a negative 6, you add 6, remember from the first tutorial. But if we add 6 to one side, we must add it to the other side as well. Once we've done that, write it out again after you've carried out that procedure. So 3x 4 add 6 now gives us a positive 10, and that equals 9x because the 6 now has disappeared. So we've now got x's on both sides, but here we've still got a number on this side. We want to get to the situation where we've got x's on one side and the numbers on the other side. So what I can do is look for the x terms now. You've got 3x on the left and 9x on the right. The smaller one of these two is the 3x. So let's take that away from both sides. Write out what you're left with. 3x take 3x leaves you with nothing. So this time we've only now got 10 left on the left hand side. 9x take away 3x leaves us with 6x. We're now in the position where we want to be. We've got a number on the left hand side and a letter term on the right hand side. I tend to swap these around at this stage. So 6x equals 10. It's perfectly okay to do that. Now I need to divide by 6, because if you remember from the first tutorial, I'm multiplying x by 6, and the opposite to multiply is to divide by 6. But of course, if we divide on the left hand side, we must divide on the right hand side as well. 6x divided by 6 leaves us with 1x. We don't need to write the 1. And 10 divided by 6 leaves us with, well, 6 into 10 goes once. There's 4 left over, so it becomes 4 over what I was dividing by in the first place, 1 4/6. That can simplify to x equals 1 2/3. EG2 then. We've now got brackets involved. Now, in order to solve this equation, we have to get rid of the brackets first of all. So it's just a case of expanding both brackets. I'll do that first. 4 times 6x gives me 24x. And 4 times negative 3 gives us negative 12. On the right hand side, 2 times 8x gives me 16x. And then 2 times 4, both positive, gives me a positive 8. Now we're in exactly the same situation as we was in the first one. Look for the number that's smallest. The numbers on their own are minus 12 and 8. Negative 12 is the smaller of the two numbers. To get rid of a negative, we add 12. But of course, we've added to the left. We must also add to the right. Write it out after you've carried out that procedure. So 24x. The negative 12, add the 12, takes you back up the number line to 0. So that's disappeared. And that equals to 16x. 8 add 12 gives me 20. Now we've got to do the x's on both sides. We want to get them on one side. So the smallest amount of x's is 16x. If I now take that away, I must also take it away from this side as well. Write it out after we've carried that procedure out. 24 take away 16 leaves me with 8x. And that equals, remember 16x take away 16x is 0. But 8x now just equals 20. I now have to get rid of the 8. It's 8 times x, so the opposite to multiply or times is divide. If I divide by 8 on the left hand side, I must also divide by 8 on the right hand side. 8x divided by 8 gives me 1x, and 20 divided by 8, well, 8 into 20 goes twice. 2 8s are 16, so there's 4 left over, and we write it over what we were dividing by. And you should realise that 2 and 4 eighths, well, 4 eighths is the same as a half, so our final answer becomes 2 and a half.